Hi, and welcome to Appalachian Film Focus. I'm Cameron Moore. Today we're here with Iris Carter, who is the director of the 48-hour film project in Greensboro. How are you doing today, Iris?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Thanks. Well, Iris, for those people who might not know, what can you tell them about what exactly the 48-hour film project is?
It started with a man named Mark Rupert and a woman named Liz Langston. And they decided, they were in DC and decided to see if they could create a competition and stretch their creativity and produce a short film in 48 hours. And so it worked. Everybody that was in it loved it. And they created the competition and it just started growing, and more cities wanted to get involved. And it has just taken off. So that's been going 14 years now, and Greensboro's been in it for 12.
Wow. And when did you start working in the Greensboro 48-hour film project?
This will be my 6th event.
Okay. So what's been the biggest change that you've seen over those 6 years?
I think I've seen, of course, more and more interest and more recognition. People are picking up on it. And I think one of the best things I've seen is the camaraderie that has come about from it. It brings the film community together, and people are recognizing it's not just about the competition. It's learning something for themselves and stretching their own creativity. Typically, people who are in professional video, they're doing corporate films or they're doing things that other people are telling them to do, and they don't get to stretch their creative cells in their body, and they don't have any outlet for that. And so they get to do this, and they get to do it with people that they pick to do it with. And the filmmakers that come back and tell me that they learned something in the process and that they had fun with the team that they worked with, that number is growing. And that's what's so important to get out of it. It's not just the competition. Sure, that's icing on the cake, but to be able to get together and do something and finish it and then see it on the big screen.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about that creative expression, but there are some rules. Do you want to touch on what those rules are?
The filmmakers, when they come to the kickoff, they draw a genre, and they know in advance they can look at the list of genres that are going to be drawn from for that year, but they don't know which one they're going to get. So they draw that, and then all the teams are given the same line of dialogue, a particular character, and a prop that has to be included in the film. And so that way it's guaranteed that they didn't do it ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And they take off and create this film based around their genre and those 3 elements that they were given. All the creative stuff has to be done on that weekend. They can pick a place that they might want to film, because you have to get waivers signed and that sort of thing. But they can't do anything creative until that weekend.
So you touched on the genres. I know last year there were 29 teams, is that correct?
Yes.
So that's a lot of genres. How wide do those vary, or do you reuse the same genres?
Well, the teams are typically broken down into 3 groups. So, we have 10 to 12 teams per group. And so then if we've got like 14 or 15 genres, then these groups the teams in this group will draw from these genres. And then I go to the next group, and here we start again, and then the third group, and they start again. So you might have 3 people draw comedy, but they're going to be in 3 separate groups.
Okay. And so for someone who might want to participate in this, do you have to have any experience beforehand, or can anyone join?
Anybody can join. There is no requirements. We have professionals as well as amateurs. I had a woman last year or the year before that she had never done any type of filmmaking, and she had a friend that was going to bring a camera. That friend backed out at the last minute. She ended up making her film on an iPhone. It turned out fine. It was, for her first shot and for not really knowing anything about filmmaking, she did a beautiful job. And then I think the statistics are roughly 60% of the participants work in the industry in some form or fashion, but it is definitely not a requirement. And we have all ages. I think the first year that Greensboro had it, there was a group of 13-year-olds that created a film that everybody loved. So, yeah, you just never know.
And so how big are the teams?
Teams can range anywhere from, I think the smallest team, we've had a one-man operation. And, where he set up the camera and got behind it and did his thing. Then I know the 48 in Albuquerque had the largest team, and it was 116 people and 30 horses. And our average team has around 15 people. But I've seen teams in Greensboro with 30 or 40. It's just how well you can manage that many people and give them all something to do and that sort of thing.
So throughout your 6 years working with the Greensboro 48-hour film project, have you seen any success stories or interesting stories of people who have participated in the event that you'd like to share?
One of my favorite stories is a student named Aaron Ashby, and he went to Grimsley High School in Greensboro, and he was involved in the technical film things, whatever he could get his hands on in school. And he applied to several colleges, and I can't remember what the third one was, but two of them were USC in California and the North Carolina School of the Arts.
Okay.
And he was accepted at both and got full scholarship to both, but USC had more incentive for him to go there, so that's the school he ended up choosing. And this is his second year there, and since he's been there, like I've been watching him on LinkedIn and stuff, and he's heading up groups and doing things, and I mean, this kid's going somewhere.
Do you know if he still participates in maybe one in
Yeah,
California?
He comes to Greensboro during the summer and participates again.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah, I saw him last summer, and I'm hoping I'll see him again this summer. And there's different people that they get in it for different reasons, but definitely he told me that the 48-hour film project film that he produced was something that went into his application for school and helped him. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So Iris, I know you have a couple clips that you've brought of short films that you really, really enjoyed throughout the years. So what's the first one we'll be seeing?
Yeah, there's been quite a few popular ones. One of them was Cake, and it was actually our city winner 2 years ago. And a lot of people really liked not only the cinematography of it, but the story was an excellent story. So I definitely want to look at that one.
All right, well, let's take a quick peek at it.
I think it was my mother who said cake solves any problem. It doesn't matter what the world does to you, Mary, she said. Cake fixes everything. She said it while Daddy was dying, right after he said, "Give me the bad news." People say crazy things in moments of stress, but I'll be darned if she wasn't right. The best thing about cake is you never know what's inside. Could be anything. Blueberries, chocolate rum frosting, ooey gooey cinnamon streusel. First bites are like Christmas mornings. That's their magic. But you want to know what's even better than all that? Nobody, and I really mean nobody, can resist a cake. You have to taste it. A good cake, you just have to. That thing they say about eggs, how you've got to break them up to make omelets? Cake's just like that. My daddy, God rest his soul, found similarities in Mother. Omelets to be broke up, I mean. Daddy, he beat a few eggs. The secret to cake is in how you mix it. Don't let your sweet take over your bitter, and vice versa. Don't get lazy and stop stirring. Don't get bored with your batter and throw it away. It takes real work. We're not all cut out for it. No, we most certainly are not.
Wow. So what was some of the stuff that really stuck out about that?
The way they filmed it, of course, like I said, the cinematography, but also little things like you'll notice the spider when she's baking, and that was one of the first questions I asked her in the Q&A after the screening was that deliberate or not? And they said, no, the spider just showed up, and they actually gave her credit at the end in the credits there. And, no spiders were harmed during the making of the film. But it was just, here's this calm, demure Southern woman that is talking about traditions and, so many people can relate to, and she takes that tradition on just as her mother and her grandmother did before her. So some traditions don't die, just the people associated with them.
And so what's the next short film that you really want to talk about today?
One was called Positive, and that's from several years ago, but it was very simply done, and it's a guy that unsuccessfully tries to kill himself in a number of ways and ends in a dark, humorous way, and then he meets a girl, and she ends up changing his life. But it has a twist at the end again. The comedy seemed to do well, and this one did. It was dark comedy, though, but very definitely worth the watch.
All right, well, let's take a look at Positive.
Is this a bad time?
Sort of.
Is everything all right?
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like your life is out of control?
What?
Like life is just too much?
Yeah?
Do you feel like you can't get organized?
Organized?
Marla Dockery, professional organizer. From the looks of things, you could use my services. I can help you put your life back together, when things seem overwhelming.
What kind of services?
Let me show you.
Marla, I have something really important I want to tell you.
I have something really important I want to tell you too.
Oh, well, let me go first. I'm in love with you.
John, I'm
HIV positive. I'm sorry, Mr. Walter.
Wow, that was a big twist. So what award did that one win?
That one won an audience award, And I believe it won a few other awards, but off the top of my head, I can't remember what. But it also, I loved the way the line of dialogue was used in it because, like we said, we give all the film teams a line of dialogue. And in that one, it was, so you think you know everything. And so this guy, the recorder's going on at the very beginning, his answer machine, and you can hear his mother talking to him. When are you going to call me? You think you know everything. And it's just that naggy mom voice. And so it worked really well in that. And then a bandana was the prop for that movie. So the dog's wearing a bandana, which was clever. It just showed up. You know, you just never know where the props are going to come in. And that's one thing that's announced at the beginning of every film. You'll usually see listed what the prop, the line of dialogue, and the character is. Or if you go to the 48-hour film project page for that year, it'll tell you what they were. And it's fun to start tracking those in the different films and see where they come and how people use them.
Yeah, sure. Are there any other short films that really stuck out in your eye?
Mistaken Identity is an unusual genre. And there was one done by a team called Mills 48 called Ground Floor. And a vagrant type guy walks into an office building, and the girl is expecting a big investor. And he manages to pass himself off as the investor. And she's giving him a tour, and he's just agreeing with everything and going along. And so it's pretty good the way the twist on how he disguises himself, and she never picks up on it.
All right, well, let's take a look at the ground floor.
Hi, you must be Mr. Davenport. I'm Emma Myers. It's very nice to meet you. I'm sorry that no one was here earlier to let you in. How did you? You know what? It doesn't matter, actually. I will get you some coffee and donuts or bagels if you would like before we start the meeting. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, coffees, bagels, and donuts. Let's go.
Okay. It's this way.
Oh.
The conference room is over here. Okay, and let me just get this started up, and we will start with the presentation. Thank you for coming today. It's great to have you here.
Of course.
I can't seem to get this working. But you know, that's completely okay. We don't need that. So we're a very grassroots-oriented company, and that's how we actually got started. So a lot of our projects are about helping the community and getting all of that done. Very eco-friendly, very green sort of thing. We like to help the local businesses. So most of our stuff you can see is from the area. You know, I'll just like tell you where your money would go to and all of that. And how about I give you like an elevator pitch?
All right, let's go.
I mean, so I think that we could use that sort of viral marketing campaign, and I think it would be really, really helpful, and it would just kind of, it would just kind of spread through the general population, and then they would kind of just, and if you'll just follow me in here, we can discuss the rest of the, more walking and talking, good for the glutes.
Do you guys have security cameras?
No, we don't yet, but we will totally be installing some next month or so.
Okay.
So if you were to make an investment, it would be very secure. And over here we like to have organic produce for our employees, and today we have strawberries and the like. And over here is our conference room. Mr. Davenport?
Yeah,
Perfect, okay. So over here, this is a sample of the whiteboard paint that we would like to use in our local facilities. So that's pretty much it. So what do you think about the company?
Interesting you ask. I could show you. Let's say your company, Jill, $35. My company, Jack, you're trying to give it over to me. I have a knife. That's not good. Let's run all the way over here. Drop the money off a giant hill. Try, trip, stumble, break his crown. He'll be crying to bring the money over to Jack. Or Jack says she was supposed to be here by now. Bails and calls the police. Does that make sense? Anyone? Any questions?
Absolutely genius. So if you could come in here right now, I can give you that contract review if that's something that you're interested in.
That sounds great. Let's do it. Do it.
Fabulous!
So what are the things that make that stick out to you?
Well, one of the things is that how they found an office space that they could use, and they made it work for the genre that they had, and it's part of the creativity. I mean, if you had signed up to use that office space in advance, and you might think you could come out with drama or maybe even comedy, but mistaken identity, how are you going to work that into an office piece? And so it's obvious that their creativity came into play.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to ask you, we just talked about all these award-winning short films. So what is the process like for the judges of picking the winners for these films?
Well, they are supposed to judge on creativity, which is like 45% of the scoring, and then adherence to their directives. In other words, did they stay with the genre? Did they use all the elements they were supposed to use? And then their technical standing and how they did the film. So the judges are given that information, and they watch the films. And in Greensboro, they do it different ways in different cities, but in Greensboro, we give them a copy of the film so they can sit and watch it several times if they want to. If there's a part in a film that they're trying to compare two films and see, well, okay, who did this one better, then they can do that. And then the judges get together and talk about their scores, and they make comparisons, and they'll share insights. If they disagree, a lot of times what happens is the judges get together, and I sit in on the conversation just to hear what's going on and to vouch for their authenticity. They will often say, okay, I thought this one might be worthy of the best of the city, but this was my second choice. And another judge might have picked the same two films, but in the opposite positions. Mm-hmm. And so then the third judge might come up and go, well, I agree with you, or I agree with the other person. And they also will say why. And so maybe an element that one judge hadn't thought of comes to light and can change their minds. And so it's truly a discussion, and what did people do, and how much creativity went into it, and what they had to work with, and all of that. So it's just it's a big discussion, and it's quite interesting, and I learned so much.
How many judges are there?
We have 3.
Okay.
We have 3. We try to keep an odd number,
Mm-hmm.
just in case. But they work really well together. I've got a film critic who he's actually been to the Cannes Film Festival a couple of times, and writes for an international magazine, and has been published and that sort of thing. And then we've got an educator that's from High Point University, and then a third guy has been in post-production for over 300 episodes of Law and Order. So we've got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge within our judges.
And I'm sure a lot of people would like to know, on top of the prestige of winning an award, do you win any other prize?
We have some local prizes that we give away, and that varies depending on who we can get as sponsors. And, one sponsor will stay a while, and then they'll drift off, and then we're out asking for more. When they win the city award, they get a trophy and a chance to film or to be shown in the international competition. Then the top city winner from every city is screened at what we call Filmapalooza, which is the overall competition. And 12 or 13 films are picked from that, and they are screened at the Cannes Film Festival. And the top winner from that gets $5,000 and another trophy. And on the city level, there's screenwriter writing program that the city winners win, and that sort of thing. So just depends on who the sponsors are and who we get, but it varies. But it's very nice.
Yeah. So one last question. What would you say is the most powerful thing that people might take away from the 48-hour film project?
I think that what people can take away is the average viewer gets a chance to see the creativity that is from their area of the state, and get to see all the wonderful people that we have, actors, filmmakers, and what they can produce. And then the other thing is, I think the participants take away a good connection with the film community that they can carry on through the rest of the year. And then they've got a finished product that they can do what they want with it. If they want to enter it in other film festivals, or if they want to make a feature-length film based on it. One of the local filmmakers made a trilogy off of, he made his first film in the 48 and then created a trilogy from there. And it's winning all kinds of awards in various film festivals. So it's a finished product, and it's something that people can be proud of and can take away from that.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us today, Iris. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
The 48-hour film project in Greensboro will be July 10th through the 12th, and registration is May 5th. For Appalachian Film Focus, I'm Cameron Moore.